It's hot here. Good afternoon. Very small turnout, but that's all right. My goal is just to talk a little bit about MMTLP, see if you have questions. Maybe we'll have a guest join. I don't know. And at least with your questions, my answers, some of your answers, this will be something other people can rewatch. So, hey guys, everybody. As you probably know, I read out this document with my comments. It took me about 3 hours. And, I had I still do. I have one concern when you go the legal route, which is, unfortunately, lawsuits cost money, cost a lot of money. And as you get further down the road, there'll be pressure to settle. And that settlement will likely include a non-disclosure agreement and other kinds of releases. So, we'll find out, but it's likely that wow, that's full screen. Can you hear me? That is weird. I can't see any of your questions. So I think I go escape. Oh, that's interesting. Full screen is interesting. Anyway, so the legal route doesn't usually lead to feeling great by the end of the day because you settle. However, the legal path is the only one that's getting things into black and white, getting our story on the record, and giving us a chance for the rest of the world to see the crimes that have gone on. So anyway, those were my initial concerns when I saw it. But then I read it. Oh my gosh. I think it's on the verge of genius. I think Mark Bazile has done a great job laying down the gauntlet with Wall Street. And if Wall Street, let me put it this way, if the judge in Florida, apparently it's a guy, I don't know who it is, appointed by Trump, but I don't know who it is. If this gets traction, Wall Street's going to settle with all of you guys. It's going to settle the whole thing. This will scare Wall Street to no ends. So my wrist is still killing me. And I'm a complainer. I'm not a stoic. Thank you, Sean. I don't know. I guess I picked on Ann a bit because she disappoints me so much. I'm not disappointed in Gary Gensler. He's just a weasel. But all right, let's go through. Wow. Mojo Wagner's top donor is Robin Hood. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Michael David, what is your take on this lawsuit? Any chance of success? Also, why do you think NextBridge canceled their hearing? I don't know what you're talking about by the NextBridge cancellation of their hearing. I doubt NextBridge canceled a hearing, but I'll let you tell me. Maybe it just got delayed. Remember, in DC, Memorial Day onward, everybody leaves town pretty much on the Hill. So it could just be we've run into a time crunch. I don't know. Okay, Ramiro Garcia, I'll give you a quick summary of this so you don't have to listen to my 3 hour reading. So this was a civil action entered in the docket of the United States District Court in the Southern District of Florida. An investor, I'm not going to say who the investor is, although I think on Twitter, some of these devilish people went ahead and posted it. I don't know the glee. I don't understand the glee trying to find faults in human beings. We're all human beings. We all have faults. And so these little men and laughing women on Twitter spaces, they go after the people who are trying to fight this, giggling and joining in like little cowards and little rats, collection of rats. And I don't understand it. I don't understand that energy. I don't understand that dynamic. To what end? All right. So anyway, let me tell you what this is. Ramiro, let me give you. Hi, John. Let me give you my sort of Ramiro. I'll give my quick, maybe 3 points, 4 points on it. I can't just jump to those points without telling you what it is. An investor sued TradeStation and the Doe defendants. In other words, the short sellers, the racketeers. 10 of them. 10 of them. So they must have more data than what's explained here. In other words, 10 of the trades on the other side, when an investor puts up cash, the brokerage firm has a responsibility to enter real shares to close the trade. They don't. They don't. So there's at least 10 on the other side where they just didn't settle the trades, it looks like. All right. So the plaintiff is called Intercoastal Waterways LLC. That doesn't matter. It's an investor in trouble like the rest of us. They sued TradeStation in Florida because TradeStation Securities is based in Plantation, Florida, securities dealer. And then they described the Doe defendants as anonymous third-party broker-dealers who basically, from when the criminals got MMTLP to trade, October 2021, through the U3 halt, December 12, 2022, manipulated MMTLP. Okay, they go through jurisdiction. They go through a lot of the factual background that you already know, and we can go over that. But to get to the heart of this, there's two walls. There's two I don't know what to call them. There's two barriers to most law firms getting involved in these cases. One is the arbitration clause, and one is the lending agreement that you automatically sign when you open your account with a company, a shitty company like TradeStation. Or all of them are, I don't know if any are much better. So The lending agreement stated the borrower, which is TradeStation, shall prior to or at the same time as the transfer of loan securities from the investor, but in no case later than the close of the business day when that transfer is made, they shall transfer to the investor collateral with a market value at least equal to 100% of the securities borrowed. I'm paraphrasing, trying to make it easier to understand. There were 13 trades from December 5th through December 8th trade date. The poor person that did this got slightly worse trades than I did. The stock I bought was all in that last week, I think the last 2 days, and I paid just under $8. I think I paid $7.96 to my memory. It wasn't too far off. If I'm wrong, it was $7.94 or something like that. This investor paid over $8 on most of their trades, some of them just under $8. So an average, there's no average here. I can give you an average. An average of 823. So this investor makes me feel good. At least I didn't pay 25 cents more like they did. I'm just joking. Okay, they go through the nature of those trades. And then they highlight that the investor, and this is one of the messages I want to get across to all of you. The investor asked, well, let's go through what they said. On December 13th, TradeStation sent to its clients who held MMTLP an email stating, unless we hear from you to the contrary, by the close of business on December 29, 2022, TradeStation will send your NextBridge shares to the transfer agent. I'm paraphrasing. In this case, the investor told TradeStation, hey, I just want to keep my shares in the account. I don't want to transfer it to the transfer agent. Then the dates don't, I think there's, oh, I see. Then about a year later, the investor asked TradeStation to transfer their shares in physical name. So they wanted some of their shares transferred. In response, TradeStation said TradeStation was unable to transfer NextBridge. Okay, that's an important thing. We'll get back to it. TradeStation announces its inability to transfer a physical certificate reflecting its customers' fully paid NextBridge shares to the transfer agent attributable to a share imbalance. They say it. They put it in writing. Now, the point there, Ramiro, that I think is important for everybody out there, this investor asked for their shares to be transferred, and the brokerage firm could not do it in violation of their own lending agreement, in violation of their own policies. So that's the basis of, that's part, I'll read the charges. That's part of the basis of this lawsuit. My point is, if you sit there like some of those devils on Twitter try to get you to do, they tell you that leaving your MMTLP in MMTLP gives you more optionality. They're just lying to you. They want to freeze you They want to freeze you into inaction. But mostly what they want to do is when you go to join a lawsuit, when you try to do a lawsuit on yourself, the judge is going to look and say, well, you never asked for your shares of NextBridge. So how can you claim they didn't have them? How can you claim they failed to do their job when you never even asked? And let me tell you, if you get shares of NextBridge, you're going to have every single one of the options, in my judgment, that you'll ever have with MMTLP, including if miraculously there's a cash settlement that's so large, you just want to take the cash and get out of this morass. I think it'll be offered to NextBridge shares holders as well. Why? Because the problem's so big, they'll want everybody to take it to free up some stock. So I guess one of the things that came across to me is you better really ask your broker dealer to transfer your shares of MMTLP to the transfer agent. Okay, because if they fail to, that's a basis for this kind of lawsuit. I think this lawsuit, by the way, is going to make Wall Street shiver their timbers. It's going to make their knees wobble. It's going to take down parts of Wall Street. After and we'll get to it, but there's a couple of things that have to happen. But if Mark Bazile is successful, Wall Street will come running to make a settlement. This is big news. This is a big deal. And that's why the people on Twitter are holding spaces to ridicule this and ridicule as many people involved, freezing you into inaction. Now's not the time to be frozen. Now is the time to call your broker, ask them to transfer MMTLP to the NextBridge Hydrocarbons transfer agent, transfer into physical shares. Okay, I'm going to skip a lot because we'll come back over it. This is I know you can't see this because this camera is really bad. Do you know in the new Apples, the camera is really bad too? But this is the diagram of what they set up as what's happening. The green essentially is TradeStation. The red is the racketeers. And it's a little confusing. Of course it is. But the point of it all is down in the corner. It says the Rico Enterprise, which is TradeStation with all the short sellers and also all the people that come on to Twitter to giggle and Google and aha with clever jokes and find entertainment at the fact that people are losing money and poke fun and try to, I don't know what motivates people that way. Are they part of racketeering? They could be, because I think they're being paid. I think they're being paid, or there's a great promise of reward if they get the stock trading, or if they get it to do blockchain, or if they get you to leave your shares in MMTLP, if they can stretch it out. That's all they're trying to do is stretch it out. And I don't know how you let the several of them take the microphone over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, and just fill your mind with fear and crap. But anyway, in the corner here it says the Rico Enterprise Doe defendants reaped all of the illicit revenue generated by short sales of MMTLP. That's down in this corner right here. And that, in essence, that's what the whole chart tells you. To me, anyway. Okay. Now let's get to page 21, where the heart of the matter is. They bury it right on page 21. So you have to be a reader to get to this. The heart of this matter is page 21. Let's just go there. Okay, well, first, let's read this. Let's read this. Section 38 of the Customer Account Agreement is an arbitration agreement which provides, this is the biggest stumbling block to guys like us getting our day in court and getting properly, getting a proper response, proper judgment. I'm telling you, Wall Street, which is owned by Goldman Sachs and the rest, has every angle of this battened down. What they didn't count on was guys like Richard Hoffman and Rosa and Mark Bazile and Junk Savvy and 100 and Patrick and all these people on the spaces with Busy and Junk who are fighting hard. I'm sure I left some people out, but partly on purpose. Not to hurt them, just because I'm trying to just for anonymity in this case. Okay, here's the arbitration clause, and this is what scares away attorneys, because with this clause, you're not able to get any resolution other than going through a panel of usually older brokers or sort of women that are drinking gin at lunch in their last days of retirement. I'm thinking of an arbitration panel that I was involved in many years ago. Okay, so here's the arbitration agreement. Any and all controversies, claims, and disputes relating to your account, the service and or the determination of any contractual rights and liabilities under this agreement, which may arise between you and TradeStation Securities, shall be determined by arbitration conducted before FINRA. Determined by arbitration conducted before FINRA in accordance with FINRA's arbitration rules then in force. And they'll have a Twitter and laugh about that and giggle. This is incredible to me. This isn't one of my points, but FINRA responded saying that, quote, FINRA directed its member firms to halt quoting and trading in MMTLP because FINRA determined that it was necessary to protect investors and the public interest where an extraordinary event had caused or had the potential to cause significant uncertainty in the settlement and clearance process for shares of MMTLP. We've got to protect the public. Are we to assume that Crunchy Frog, you have a real live frog inside the confectionery? Our sales would plummet. We're here to protect the public. Can you believe that? Their claim is there's uncertainty. So what they did is they just they halted trading. So there's no uncertainty anymore. FINRA aided the racketeers, the criminals, in stealing your money. They just made it a fait accompli. And you think I shouldn't get upset with Jessica Hopper and that blonde lawyer that works at Goldman and also works at FINRA at the same time, and Robert Cook? FINRA is a criminal organization. And this is a good time to remind you everything I say here is in my opinion and in my judgment. Okay. Let me get to page 21. Okay, page 21. This is brilliant on Mark Bazile's part. I think it's just brilliant. Okay, so two sentences. Because plaintiff's claims, that's the investor, because the investor's claims against TradeStation stem directly from FINRA's actions and inactions as a market regulator, such as, for example, FINRA's institution of the U3 halt, FINRA cannot fulfill its duties as an unbiased arbiter to this dispute pursuant to the arbitration agreement. Sheer brilliance, sheer brilliance. So as such, plaintiff, the investor, requires the matter to be heard and decided through the unbiased lens of the court to ensure a fair resolution for all parties involved, regardless of the language or terms of the customer account agreement and arbitration agreement. Boom, boom. That's it. That's what all these 41 pages are about, is those two sentences. If Mark Bazile can pull away the onion skin or the obfuscation caused by the arbitration clause, and these can now be brought to the court system, Wall Street is going to be so scared they're going to come settle. That's my prediction. But this won't be quick, and they're going to bring all sorts of pressure, in my judgment, on the judge, and they can do it. So we'll see. But that is absolutely huge. It's incredible. Okay, so let me go through the causes of action. I'm not going to read the whole, I'm just going to go to the conclusion. The first one is to make the lending agreement void. The second cause, because they didn't honor the terms of it. The second one is basically that TradeStation dispossessed the investor of their own property. So it's asking for damages. The third one is, let's see, by failing to maintain physical shares of NextBridge, the investor was denied the investor's right to transfer shares to the physical shares to the transfer agent, and that's not. They're asking for monetary damages as well as further relief. That's why I think it's so important to do that. Fourth action. My wrist slows me down. He comes out and says that TradeStation committed racketeering activities. As a result of TradeStation's racketeering activities, the investor has been injured as it relates to the investor's property. They ask for treble damages. The fifth cause, and I'm sure I'm missing some nuances here, but I'm trying to go through it quickly. The fifth cause is as a result of TradeStation's criminal activities, the investor has been injured in regard to its property. Treble damages again. The sixth cause, they're asking basically that TradeStation creates a trust, that they place an amount of real shares in an estate to, I don't know, I'm using my own words, to make sure it's there as you go through this lawsuit. And actually, let me make sure this is the one. Oh, this is the sixth cause is pursuant to the account agreement and the TradeStation website. The investor was and is free to dispose of its shares anytime. Basically, they're not able to do that. They're asking for $360,000 damages. All right, the seventh. They're saying that TradeStation, once they were asked to deliver physical shares by phone, notified the investor that TradeStation was unable to comply with the request because TradeStation was not issued physical certificates by NextBridge. It's just a lie. I mean, it's true maybe, but it's misdirection. TradeStation knew or should have known that this antithetical statement conflicts with its own prior announcements. And so the investor has been harmed and deprived of the right to sell or regain possession of NextBridge shares. They're asking for no less than $360,000. The eighth cause is negligence for violating federal and state securities laws. The ninth cause is through no fault of the plaintiff, TradeStation has lost plaintiff's property. That's that example I give of the chit. If they've lost your property, you have a claim. If you don't ask for your property, how do you know they've lost it? Anyway, so the ninth cause is monetary damages because of basically losing the investor's property. The 10th cause TradeStation has failed to maintain physical possession and control of all fully paid NextBridge shares on behalf of its customers in violations of a number of statutes. It's pretty powerful. 11th cause unjust enrichment. This brings up, unjust enrichment brings up an interesting point, by the way, that Ham always mentions. In this case, the investor made $300 basically from this lending program. Do you think TradeStation made $300 itself through this? Hell no. They probably made tens of thousands, maybe just thousands, maybe 10,000. This is so unfair and lopsided. But one of the things that's really interesting, if you go through the list, which isn't here, it is earlier in the court case, in the complaint. But one of the things TradeStation has a responsibility to do, you put up the money. They're supposed to settle that trade. So how, Ham always says, go after the auditors. How can TradeStation report earnings on commissions, on interest, on loans, when they haven't done their job? They can't book it this year when they settle the trade year from now. It's I mean, that's what brought down Entercom. It's not the name. Entercom is a great conference. You know, the Ken Lay company. I have a Joe Biden brain, or I'm a complete idiot, as that guy texted me. So then I think it's the 11th is about it's just what I just said, the unjust enrichment. The point is, how can they take this enrichment when they didn't settle the trade? Also, maybe they enrich themselves at the harm of the investor. The 12th clause is that trust that I described. And then here at the end, Ramiro, last page, they demand a trial by jury, which is awesome. Awesome, 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 awesome. And they break down the 4 demands into monetary damages no less than 360,000. They want to create this equitable trust to set aside the shares, so it's that money is set aside as this weaves through the courts. And then C, they're asking for treble damages, attorney's fees, and then also awarding any other just or equitable relief as the court deems necessary. You put this before a jury? Before a jury? Imagine what other equitable relief will be created. The 2 attorneys are Agapija Cruz, Esquire, and Joseph R. Rose, Esquire, of the Bazile law firm. I'm sure they may be of counsel. So that's the summary. To me, the 2 big breakthroughs would be busting the sanctity of the arbitration clause. That would be huge. That would allow fraud and illegal acts to dismantle the arbitration clause. And if Mark Bazile gets that done, he deserves to be the next Peter Angelos. The other thing I think that's really big here is getting rid of the loan agreement and bringing it out into sight. It's possible. There were, in the footnote here, I'm not going to find it, but in the footnote, they mentioned that there were trades that were executed at $2,400 a share. $2,400 a share. The money was put in investors' accounts and then reversed. That's as illegal as heck. But if that becomes public, then you're going to find out that the loan agreements are cheating their own investors because the investors aren't given full information to make a decision. And that's fraud. So if they can break the arbitration clause, if they can break the loan agreement, it's going to be huge. And then those guys on Twitter that are trying to get a huge payday by making this settlement small so they can make millions of dollars paid to them by the criminals, by the hedge funds, by the brokerage system, it'll be our turn to laugh. And hold space calls giggling. Anyway, that's my summary, Ramiro. Okay, let's go. I'm going to go back asswards. Yeah, exactly. I think the jury is going to know, going to eat TradeStation alive. Okay, so you guys, I don't know these people. I have specifically tried to make the investor's name anonymous. And so apparently this is what we're going to go down through. We're going to say that I don't know, somehow it dismisses my thoughts because somehow I don't know the investor. I've chosen not to be an asshole and protect the anonymity of the investor. I don't care if you guys want to be jerks and put somebody at risk, go ahead, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to highlight this, but TK16, who I'm not convinced is here for good purposes, most said that this lawsuit shouldn't impact on how the rest of us make out. My judgment, and I can only give you my judgment, that is a load of bull manure, absolute load of bull manure. If Mark Bazile is successful tearing down the arbitration agreement because FINRA is corrupt and cannot oversee arbitration, this is just one case. It is going to scare everyone, and it is going to affect everyone's settlement. And so TK16, I think, is part of the group that wants you to do nothing. If you sit doing nothing with those people that are lying to you, do you think they're going to be on your side when it turns out you don't make any money? Once all of the allocation of NextBridge shares are allocated, you just have a chit. You have nothing except the potential reward on a lawsuit. It's not optionality. It's Loserville. That's where they want you to go, is to Loserville. And they'll collect their millions of dollars from the hedge funds, in my opinion. I don't know who Mo is. Let me see, John Rambo. John, I'm not going to read your, I'm not going to click your one because, it's so, all right. So TK, all right. TK16, fine. If you're just parroting what others said, then I'm wrong to be upset with you. I just don't like you put the name out there, and some of my reaction is protective. But you're not the only one that put the name out there. I think Optimuse did it. I think it was Optimuse. No. It was. Yeah, I can't remember. Sorry about that, TK16. I think it's really cowardly and risky for people to put out a name. It's not necessary. But anyway, you did it innocently. So, but anyway, John Rambo, I'm also not going to put that comment up because I can't block out the name. But I really appreciate that you stood up for the investor and that you took the slings and arrows. Screw them. And right, I like your summary, John Rambo, that you're at AST and yeah, put your fate with NextBridge, but you can still get a settlement. You'll still get a settlement. But if you're listening to these people who are possessed with evil motives right now in their lives, that's a false friend. That's a false friend. Oh, it was TK16. I didn't know that. I didn't go on the calls, TK16. So if it's common knowledge, then it's not fair for me to blame you. So I apologize for that. So you know the investor's name. I'm trying to keep the confidentiality, but um, uh, wreath-hearted. I don't know what that means. Wreath-hearted. I don't know what that means. Fago, I think 444 is a reasonable settlement number. Maybe now, but by the time they drill the 15, is it 15 wells they need, or 5 additional wells they need to drill by the end of the year, drill and complete? That number could be a lot higher. And I agree with Richard. I heard executions that day as high as 24,000. So, of course, the only person that can prove it is if you get the consolidated audited trail. And those people on Twitter say, "Oh, you don't need that." Come on, let's stop dealing with these. Hey, Kevin, I apologize. TK, I did not know it was. I didn't listen to the call, so I didn't know it was out there. So I cannot keep it quiet anyway, right? So let's just go through of that. John Rambo, thank you very much for standing up. That makes you a man, my friend. That makes you a man. No, I agree that the price could be really high. I really do. You've seen my videos. On the other hand, we have to be realistic that when they try to settle something, we might not get our dream figure. But I stand by that a fair settlement is $1,150 a share. I stand by that. But we'll see. We'll see. Well, Aaron, unfortunately, I think GameStop had its pop. Unfortunately, I hope I'm wrong. There's an interesting question that Kristen Shaughnessy put out, which is who bought those shares that they sold to the shorts? It's all rigged, you know. It was like 14 or 15% of the float somebody bought, and they didn't have to disclose it. The whole system is rigged. It's so depressing. There isn't a single person that's honest out there with, or courageous at least, in the regulatory Congress, journalists, Kristen Shaughnessy, Dennis Neal. There's 2 or 3 great lawyers out there, Bazile, Rosa, Hoffman, and I'm sure there's more you can tell me. There's a bunch of you guys that are courageous as all heck, but there's nobody that can actually subpoena information, actually call a hearing that has any courage at all. Well, Richard, I think Richard Coughlin, he says the only issue is they will try to pay us $3, essentially where it closed, rather than thousands. That it could have been worth in a squeeze. And I happen to agree with that. That's one of the risks of keeping your MMTLP as a chit instead of transferring to NextBridge. Just broadly to address your point, there's sort of 3 ways that what could happen. One is they settle with us in the thousands and tens of thousands a share as if the squeeze happened. The second thing is that they pay us out based on the value of NextBridge on an equivalent non-diluted basis. Or three, these are broad alternatives. Three, they just say, you know what? We don't owe you anything. We'll give you your money back. We don't owe you more than where it closed, $3. Congress is backing us up because the system's too big to fail. Lawyers made a good argument. They quoted the Dred Scott case. One of the judges in the Dred Scott case said something totally unrelated, but it's going to work here. We'll fit it in, and Congress is going to go along with $3. I don't know why one would put themselves at the risk of all the mashigans and the lies and the money, the sheer volumes of money that can buy these people who behave in such an evil way on Twitter, the people who continue to corrupt Congress and lie, journalists that lie. They're going to try to get it to $3 or just say you don't deserve it. So why take that risk? If the second situation, which I think is a reasonable, it's a mid-range result, which is at the end of the day, they owe us shares in NextBridge. So share for share, what's the price, Joe? Well, that could be a big number. I think and the issue will be, do you adjust it for dilution? All those things will be sorted. But then your point is a big one. What if the system has to make a big offer to us because they are so worried that the arbitration clause is going to disappear? They're so worried that these people who are being paid by the criminals are going to be found out, and they're the glue that puts a racketeering organization together. They're so concerned they're going to go to prison, they come with a big settlement. Big number, because they want to buy your release, my release. And those kind of are the three ways. But the argument that the only way you get that big settlement is by holding on to MMTLP, it's wrong. In my judgment, one of the cornerstones of this lawsuit is that the client asked for their shares and they were not delivered, and that violated all manner of things. So my point is, Richard, even if you're at NextBridge, let's say the counterfeit shares exceed 600 million shares. NextBridge has a certain amount they can allocate unless they meet to issue more. But that's nowhere close to that number. So I think any settlement is going to be offered also to NextBridge. So you get kind of the best of all worlds. You get the value of NextBridge. You get the ability to participate in a bigger settlement for cash, in my judgment, and you avoid the machinations of a bunch of people behaving in evil ways to rob you of your money, and they pretend to be your friends. They won't be there once they win. They're going to get paid out millions of dollars, and they won't even be on the space calls anymore. Yeah, I agree, Barry's bit. The bad actors are going to have to pay. I agree with you. This is huge breakthrough. And what Mark Bazile is doing, to his great credit, because I don't think, I don't know, I'm not going to say that, but other attorneys wouldn't have taken this case, I don't think. Not because it's not a great case, but because of the risks. And he's doing it. But you know what else he's doing? He's getting things into black and white in the court systems that can be quoted later on, like usury trading, usury loans up with the Kurt Kramers in New York. So they moved to Virginia, but at least it's on the record up in New York. Well, TK16, that kind of comment right there gets me wondering whose side you're on, but that's all right. I'll take it. I'll take it that it's just when you have such a short space to type something, it doesn't always come out the way you want it to be. Yeah, you're right, JK Plus. TradeStation invalidated their own agreements. I agree with you. I agree with you. Well, yeah, who brings it is irrelevant, other than I personally think that the investor that brought this is showing tremendous courage, tremendous selflessness, and based on their relationship with Mark Bazile and their hard work, and Mark Bazile's hard work and the two attorneys, this is groundbreaking for everybody involved. It's awesome. Oh, it won't work. Thank you, Nathan. It's a well thought out. It's a well thought out point, but I'm going backwards. Maybe you said something else. Thank you, TK16. I appreciate that. I was trying to honor on my show. I was trying to honor the niceties of confidentiality. Obviously, those people everyone listens to on Twitter couldn't care less. But I appreciate that you've been able to add that to the discussion. Richard Coughlin, FINRA absolutely is a criminal organization. They knew what was going on and they enacted the U3 halt to help the criminals steal. I couldn't agree with you more. Arbitration won't apply here. I agree with that. But this is why right now a critical stage of this lawsuit is for this judge to accept this case. Right now it's what's it called? It's called I don't know what it's called. It's like a pleading or something. I see. I'm not an attorney, but this isn't entered in. I mean, it's in the docket. I say I don't know what to say. It's not accepted as a case before this judge yet. The judge has to read it and say, okay, it has merit. Let's go forward. And I think there's going to be all kinds of pressure brought to bear by Wall Street and senators and congresswomen and regulators to this judge. Phone calls, threats, money, visits to say, don't break that arbitration clause. Because the only thing that stands between Wall Street continuing to steal what Patrick Byrne called a river of money and employing those people who you listen to on Twitter, enriching those people, is the arbitration clause. When the arbitration clause goes down, oh my gosh, Wall Street's in a lot of trouble. Wall Street will cease to exist as it currently stands. It's big. So it's very big. All right, I don't know what that said. Looks like it'll be shut down due to arbitration. Well, maybe, Nathan. I don't agree with your assessment. I think this argument that Bazile Law Firm made on page 21 is so powerful that your blanket statement, I don't know, what's the purpose of your statement? To take away hope? because you're getting some thrill being on the criminal side. What's the point of that? But anyway, page 21, 86 and 87. I think this is just sheer brilliance, because plaintiffs claims that because the investors' claims against TradeStation stem directly from FINRA's actions and inactions as a regulator, FINRA cannot fulfill its duties as an arbitrator in this dispute. I left a bunch of words out. As such, the investor requires this matter be heard and decided through the unbiased lens of this judge's court to ensure a fair resolution for all parties involved. I think it's powerful. But you're right, Nathan, even though I don't understand your motives. You're right that if the judge is convinced from outside pressures, or maybe his own thinking, that the arbitration clause is valuable because it protects the criminals so broadly and so expansively, and allows the concentration on wealth to go from hundreds of firms to 4, and to go from lots of money managers to a handful of plunderers, as Gretchen Morgeson calls them. I mean, if that's what that judge is there for, to make sure that Ken Griffin can buy a few more buildings in Miami and New York, then we lose. But there'll be appeals, but it'll be in black and white. The thought will be planted and we'll eventually win. So I don't choose to be on your side of that, Nathan. But you could be right. Resolution will go through McCabe and NextBridge, no one else. I agree with that. And Peterson, I don't know how to contact Greg McCabe directly, and I doubt he has the time to watch me. But I really think he should not trade on blockchain. Do not trade on blockchain, because I think Wall Street, under this area of derivatives, which Bill Clinton put through without regulation, and who needs the SRO regulation is useless anyway. But anyway, I think Wall Street is counting on some form of trading to create a derivative so they can play with the stock price. I'm not smart enough to figure out how, because I get the argument that blockchain can't be manipulated, but it's just part of the pricing out there. It's just part of it. I understand they're already trading this illegally offshore, Poland or something. So I think McCabe has to stay private, and the resolution should be in the $1,000 range, and NextBridge should be the richest private company in North America. I don't see a lot of uncertainty, but I did reach out to Not Legal Advice today to ask him if he would come on tonight. He had some other things he had to do. He may still come on while we're talking, or we'll do it tomorrow. But yes, I think it'd be great to have Not Legal Advice, maybe Junk Savvy, maybe maybe at some point busy. We could have Pecos Bill. I would love to get Greg McCabe. I don't know if he's precluded from doing things like this. And but yes, I think the idea of having not legal advice would be excellent. I wouldn't mind having Kristen Shaughnessy on. Ham would be great to have on, but I think Ham, uh, he can see so clearly what's happened and what will happen. I think his interest level in the intricacies of this will wane. I think he'll be interested for about 20 minutes and then, but it'd be great to have a whole panel of people. Trying to think of some of the other names that show up in the good Twitter space. Jennifer, Brianna, 100. Be great to have 100. Absolutely fantastic. Chez Sistance. I haven't seen Chez Sistance in a long while. Yes, it was a song we sang when I was in the Resistance. It is amazing. And these politicians really are driven by just going along. It proves that we're just animals. They don't want to stand out. They want to be part of the herd. And they want a better life for their daughters, which you can't blame them. But I would argue, Keith, that, and it's hard for me not to have all of this on my mind lately for the last few years. I can't go back to being my young self. It's really weird. But, a lot about our life here has a much greater meaning in what comes afterward. I actually listen because I've he glories in his intellectual superiority. I met him 3 times, ran into him many others, but Christopher Hitchens is, to me, a fascinating guy. His book Hitch 22 is one of the best books I've ever read. I bought it I bought a dozen copies and gave it away. But he's an atheist. Nothing he says shakes my belief that we're here for a greater reason than accumulating our definition of wealth on this closed planet, this closed system that we can't even take with us. And after a certain amount, what do you need it for anyway? It's the oddest thing. So I agree. It's surprising that people will sell out for so little when there's so much at stake. By the way, I think a lot of his arguments might be that we don't understand all of the we don't understand all of the creation we see. And so some of our arguments for the existence of God may strike him as simplistic and don't make any sense, but they're just arguments with what our 4 or 5 senses can see. It doesn't mean that just because we have a limited human understanding of creation, that that's the full explanation of what happened. Anyway, let's move on. We'll be shut down just like all the others, unfortunately. Immunity, I'm sure. Thank you, Nathan Shaw. I don't recognize your name at all, but boy, it's a pleasure to have you here today. You're like Eeyore. Oh, I'm sure it's gonna rain. It's gonna rain. Eeyore, Eeyore, it's gonna rain. Thank you for your point of view, though. It's based in such thoughtful analysis. Really remarkable analysis, Nathan. I just read the whole thing, and I got to tell you, this was to me a work bordering on genius. It's certainly a work of courage and directness and creativity. So, thanks, Nathan. It seems like the best solution is for NBH to sell cash per share. Well, I don't know how to pronounce your name. The first thing that comes to mind with my half eyesight is Jack. And I know that's not what it says. So it's JK plus, JK plus, or plus, JK plus. Anyway, I don't think now is the time for NextBridge to sell. They have 134,000 contiguous acres over a structure that could be as big as the Delaware Basin or as big as other parts of the Permian. It's thick. To my memory, there's 7 benches. There's 7, if you think of a wedding cake, there's 7 places where the icing is. And the volumetrics imply an enormous resource. So I don't think now's the time to sell because the awareness of this resource is so low. The proven up nature of the resource is perhaps well founded in the minds of several men and women closely associated with the company, but it's not out there in the general marketplace. So the time for NextBridge to sell, in my opinion, is after they drill up additional wells, they prove up their leases. I've never seen the seismic. I've never seen I've never seen the detailed seismic anyway. I've never seen the engineering report. So I don't know how much of the reserves we talk about I know very little, next to nothing, is proved producing. But then there's going to be proved behind pipe, and there's going to be proved undeveloped. And how far does that extend beyond where the wells they drill are to an engineer that's respected? And my experience, if you go to the best engineer in the engineering firm in the world, Netherlands Sewell & Co., NSAI, Netherlands Sewell Associates, the only way you can do it is by drilling more wells. So I don't think it's time to sell. At the end of your point, I don't think they'll get a very high price if they sold now. So anyway, it's the wrong time to sell. JK Plus, this lawsuit, if it's accepted, I guess it would be over the next 30, 60-day time frame, we'll know. If the arbitration clause is pierced, I believe the lawyers working on behalf of Wall Street will tell their Wall Street clients, you're in trouble here. The 105 broker dealers, they all have lawyers. And for 100 of them who are not at great risk, they want away from this. And the lawyers are going to say, you better settle. And it'll open a floodgate. It'll open a floodgate. Hey, Juan, I don't know who's fudstering. Hey, Jennifer, another person who should come on and answer questions. Very smart, Jennifer. Very, very smart. NextBridge said there were 200 million plus shares they got from MMTLP. Well, Michael, there's numbers I've heard that are not proven. There's numbers in this complaint. I can read you part of it. It's in the footnote. I don't think Nate Shaw would have time to read a footnote. Let me find it. I know it's a big footnote, so I should be able to find it very quickly. It's one of the, okay, here. I think it's right here. Okay, on page 20, footnote number 18. On November 21, Greg McCabe, the board of NextBridge, submitted a letter to FINRA stating, quote, NextBridge has received information from financial firms since the spinoff. The information suggests that the number of short positions may be significantly higher than FINRA's estimated 2.65 million, unquote. Then he said, on January 23rd this year, quote, a significant disconnect between NextBridge's growing data and FINRA's stated number of 2.65 million shares outstanding short interest, unquote, and, quote, the results of NextBridge's data gathering suggests a number considerably higher. It suggests a number considerably higher than the 2.65 million shares of aggregate short interest stated in FINRA's most recent frequently asked questions, unquote. Further, McCabe addresses the fact that he has knowledge, quote, of an admitted shareholder imbalance from one single financial institution that is in multiples more than 2.65 million shares, unquote. I think Nathan Shaw is going to find that bumper sticker quotes aren't going to work anymore. So I said NextBridge said that there were 200 million shares that they got from MMTLP. There was a quote in here about something like 250 million shares of existing NextBridge shares, but no, the amount of the amount of NextBridge shares which are allocable to MMTLP are approximately 165 million. Since that time frame, though, NextBridge has issued stock. They did that deal with John Berta, and they bought some assets in Louisiana and flipped it, kept a piece of it. I forget some of they bought the remaining 100%. Anyway, the number of their employee option plans, it's expanded to 245 million from 165. So the only amount of shares available for the real MMTLP is 165 million shares. It is, I agree with you, it is counterfeit proof. But Nate Shaw doesn't want you to see it. Let's go down to the bottom because I'm going backwards. Are we really getting close this time? No, I I would still expect that this will take months, if not years, to go to discovery. Um, However, if Mark Bazia, this is my opinion, and we'll ask a lawyer, the best lawyer out there, for his opinion when he's free. It's my opinion that if the arbitration clause gets broken, that Wall Street is going to be afraid of their risk. And that's a whole different brain trust on Wall Street. And they'd rather settle than take risk. They'd also rather settle than have disclosure so that Ann Wagner can realize that her clients have been lying all along. Hey, Barbara. Oh, KYP is here. KYP. Oh. I can't, that one's not coming. I love Caruso and Pavarotti. I love them both. The best, I think, is called Estella. That's the one I like the best. Of course, everyone knows. Yes, Sundorama. So Dennis, I think what we could be getting close on is getting Wall Street tacked, because this could be big, but we'll find out. This specific case, the pressure is going to be great on the investor to settle. But if the arbitration clause is busticated, as they say up in New York State, it could happen. Good evening. I agree with you, Laffy. I think Greg McCabe will make sure that all distributions will be the same. You may have a choice of, I think everybody will get dividends. Everybody will get the payment for pain and suffering. But you may have a choice. Do you accept the settlement or keep your shares? But that would imply the share value would be very, very high, provable at that time. Do we get resolution soon? I think resolution star SS has to be that you ask your broker dealer to move your chit, your laundry record of a dry cleaning drop off, MMTLP, from your brokerage account to real physical shares of NextBridge hydrocarbons held by the transfer agent. That's how you can get your resolution soon. You can do it yourself. It'll take about 45, 60 days. That's how you get your resolution. I don't think there's any resolution coming that's going to pay you any kind of money for MMTLP this year. None, zero, zip. I don't see it coming. And as long as you listen to the liars on Twitter and they freeze you into inaction, it's possible that once this all does get, as you put it, resolved in I don't know, in 18 months, 2 years, you might be left out. Those guys are being paid to get you to do nothing. Why are they getting paid to do that? I know my argument is circular. You think they're there helping you? These are the guys that tried to get you to go along with 2 days of trading, which would have wiped you out. They try anything to break your resolve, to turn you into jello. Why are they getting paid to do just that? Stop listening to them. Let's not also forget West Christian's report and evidence still has to be applied in all cases moving forward. Yeah, I think you're right, John. I think McCabe's on our side. And I think it would help McCabe greatly if we filled up the bus or the airplane or whatever you want to call it with claiming the real shares. Then he could go to Congress and say, look, I've distributed 165 million shares. Here's my proof. Here it is. Everything, your bribers, everybody that's bribing you, Ann Wagner, that's telling you, oh, it's the investor's fault. Then Ann Wagner, you're going to have to look and see that your friends that pay you off lied to you. There's counterfeit shares in the system. Well, I don't know. I'm an important person, and I'm powerful, and I didn't know. Let me see. Let me find out. How could she'll have nothing to say? She's as useless as Gensler. Awesome, Paul. I don't think you need to send them, but it's that presumes that NextBridge never trades. If they start trading on blockchain, which I think is a mistake, I could be proven wrong, and I'll change my mind if I am proven wrong. I just don't trust the derivatives that can be created. But if for some reason down the road, NextBridge started trading in a public market, you will want to send it in, because while there's goodwill and Greg McCabe is insisting on it, I'm sure you can transfer it for the cost of a FedEx envelope. But let's say 5 years from now or 10 years from now, it may cost you thousands of dollars and months of time to get physical shares back into electronic form to trade. I just don't see that ever being a real eventuality. Greg McCabe should stay private until the counterfeit blob of shares are totally obliterated and wiped off the face of the earth. And then if he goes public, it should probably be in Russia or in Korea or in China, not the United States markets. Certainly not NASDAQ under Adina Friedman. I don't know about the NYSE, which is owned by a German group, and a lot of the fraud comes out of Germany. I don't see any benefit for being public. It used to be that what the benefit that would accrue to a CEO by being public is sometimes if your shares were worth $10 to you in your head, the stock would trade to 35 on a research report, on a flurry of buying. And you could then call the analyst, call your investment banker and say, hey, I'd like to do an offering. And the overpaid wanker would say, well, it's trading at 35. let me call around. Well, we think we could raise, 5 million and give us a green shoe for $1.5 million. Between 5 million and 6.5 million at $30 a share. Well, my stock's trading at 34, but yeah, I think we've called around. We think we can get it done at 30. All right, when? We'll get it done by Wednesday. All right, done. Boom, 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 boom. So then the company brings in all this money at $30 a share. Investors flip it for 34. The hot money's out. And the CEO has in his mind or her mind that the company, as far as they were concerned, they would have raised money at $15. So you can use your stock as a way of raising money at attractive prices. One, two, your stock's trading at 35 and you think your net worth, your revenue, whatever you're going by, you figure it's only worth $18. Well, one thing you can go out do, you call up your overpaid investment wanker and you say, my competition across the street, that guy's getting old and I know his daughter doesn't want to run it. Could you find out how much he'd sell for? I'd like to make a cash and stock offer for his business. And boom, all of a sudden you use inexpensive stock that when you went public, it was $10. Now it's $35 to buy the competition. You could use your stock as currency. And of course, the other thing is your stock is a way of attracting talented people like KYP or Jennifer or Kristen Shaughnessy or 100. You attract talented people with a stock plan. So those are the things that helped America industry grow. Now, what these people that their closest interaction with you is on Twitter. What these people do is they just crush stock prices. So the stock has no value as a way of attracting employees. It has no value in an acquisition because they've destroyed the number of shares. And in order to make an acquisition, it's so dilutive and it increases the denominator. They're smiling all the way, coming back on these Twitters and making fun of William because he's a complete idiot and a washed up loser. That's how they get their kicks. And there's no opportunity to raise a quick amount of cash at the nice price because the criminals make sure all of the cash that's available in the public markets accrues to them. And they break the laws, they break morality, they come on and they are bullies and liars. They racketeer, and it's all okay. It's so depressing. No one cares. No one cares. Tell me who I should call in Congress. I'll go sit on her doorstep. I've gone through Congress multiple times. Who should I call and go get a lunch with at a regulatory office that isn't going to say, you're right, but my daughter's just gotten accepted at Yale and my son has a scholarship at Duke to play ball. I can't take the risk. Find me a regulator. I'll go camp at her doorstep, but I don't think it'll be a woman that does this. I think it'll be a man. I don't know. Could be surprised. Maybe there's a woman in there that has the courage to do it. That would be great. I will go sit outside of her office for a month. But who is it? Who is it? Is there an investment bank committed to doing plain vanilla, honest deals so that when the CEO does a reverse merger and brings in companies at an agreed valuation, but unlike Aubrey Advisors, doesn't lock down the price first? Is there an honest investment banker that will tell the acquired firm, hey, it's not fair to use the 60 cents stock price because that is just short selling and counterfeiting and fraudulent sales on a scale that is self-fulfilling, that the cowards do gleefully to strip mine money on an industrial scale in Adina Friedman's markets because she doesn't give a good shite. You need a banker to say, you know what? My client will buy you at $5 a share, which is a discount of the $10 that the stock traded for a year and a half when Aubrey Advisors was sponsoring the company. But as soon as they de-SPACed, the stock went under $1. It is not fair to price deals under $1 because we have third-party valuations. Our own research, our own analysis says it's worth $10 to $20 a share. We're willing to do it at $5, take it or leave it. All right, you're going to leave it, we'll go to somebody else. And in the meantime, as an honest investment banker, we're going to fund this company with honest money at a higher valuation. But until you show me that honest investment banker, I'll go work for her. There's not honest journalists. And all we get is the crap from Nathan Shaw. It's not going to work, I'm afraid. What's his motive for that? Hey, KYP, PYT. All right, let's go to the bottom. This is the time of the great taking. Yep. And they're taking CB. I don't know. It's being done on a global scale. And if you want to be a conspiracy theorist or just think in a bigger picture, you know, it's almost as if the planet Nibiru is hiding behind the sun and the Anunnaki are asking for all the gold in the world that they've accumulated, and the elites are setting about getting it. I mean, that's crazy talk, of course. But the elites are behaving in a way that is destroying the planet, destroying the very structure of the economy as it's existed. It's almost as if they know the world is coming to an end because their behavior will accelerate the end of life as we know it, the end of our life as we know it. When we talk about the world ending, it's not that the world's going to cease rotating and cease having life. It's the peaceful climate, the friendly animals, the bounty of food, the bird song, the starlit nights, the music, the spiritual aspects, each other, of human life that's at risk. But I cannot imagine that the concentration of wealth in a few chosen men, chosen by Wall Street, Bezos, whoever started Facebook, Gluckberg or something. Whoever started Amazon, that's Bezos. Whoever started Apple's a little different because they backed away from Jobs and then he came back. But anyway, they pick 5 or 6 companies. They see it up through because there is no over-the-counter market as an alternative for raising capital. Why does this help us? You go to 3 or 4 schools, you join 2 sororities, you all bang the same girl in college, and one of the lucky guys gets to marry her. And then you go work at the same trading desk at Citadel, and somehow we have to reward you because you're so special. It doesn't work that way anymore. It just does not work that way anymore. It's as if the criminals decide we deserve all of the juice from the lemon up front. And then the CEO is left with the pits. When are we going to stop this? I think MMTLP has the potential to be bigger than Volk. Well, it could, but there's no squeeze coming. There's no squeeze coming. I don't see, I'd have to sit down with the number of shares and the value of NextBridge and do a calculation, but there is no squeeze coming in MMTLP. It's a lie put forth on Twitter to get you to do nothing. Remember, the basis, the foundation of this case is that TradeStation failed to honor its fiduciary responsibilities, failed to behave under statutes, and failed to honor its own agreement. How was that found out? The investor asked for shares in physical form. If you don't do that, how do you know you're ever going to be able to benefit from this? Do not hold on to MMTLP expecting a short squeeze. There will not be a short squeeze in MMTLP. MMTLP will never trade. Stop listening to the liars. You've listened to them for over 500 years. They've lied to you, cajoled to you, made fun of people, made fun of me. Used soothing voices, dominated the airwaves. Joined together. For what benefit? They're getting paid off. Stop listening to them. They promised instant results, and it's over 500 days later. Guess who said it was going to take a long time? It's not hard. Just sit down. As painful as it is, we just have to face the facts. So MFN, there will be no squeeze in MMTLP. It's possible the settlement, I don't see how. I don't think MMTLP will become more valuable than Exxon. I think Volkswagen was more valuable than Exxon for a few trading days. So I don't agree with your statement, but thanks for making it. I agree with that, CB. They showed a clip of people asking this question. Which presidential candidate said that if you go to 7-Eleven, you're going to hear somebody speaking with an Indian accent. Who said that? And everyone said Trump. Then they asked, who said poor kids are just as smart as white kids? Who said that? Everyone said Trump. I'll let you look it up, who actually said it. Open up, Kronk, open up for position close only. Yeah, that's probably right. Stop listening to the people that are telling you there's going to be a squeeze. Stop listening to the people that are telling you that there's optionality. You have more options with MMTLP. They're just trying to fool you. They're lying to you. I know it feels good. You know, there's nothing more seductive than listening to a liar and believing the lie. It's so seductive. But as soon as they win, they're going to be gone. They'll be gone. That's right, CB. I don't know what you missed. I was going over this lawsuit that was filed on the 24th. So it needs to be accepted by the judge. So this is a period of time where you hold your breath and you hope that the judge says, we will accept this. It has merit. If the judge kicks it out, they'll have to appeal or find a different way of attacking the same path. The three items that maybe four items that stand out here. One is this is going to break down the arbitration clause if successful. That's huge. Secondly, this is going to break down the loan agreement that we're all forced to sign when we open a margin account. It's going to break that down. That's huge. I think both of those are going to put Wall Street at vulnerability, which could cause them to want to negotiate with Greg McKay. So that's big. The third thing is my point of view. I think it is urgent. It is incumbent. It is you who can resolve your situation. Transfer your shares to NextBridge. Transfer your shares to whatever that in Xfinity AST is called. Transfer your shares. Why? Well, at a minimum, if your brokerage firm cannot transfer them, that gives you standing transfer your shares. Transfer your shares. It gives you standing to go against your brokerage firm if they don't deliver. And I've often thought that if you don't ask, the most obvious thing the lawyers for the criminal side will say to the judge, Your Honor, the investor never asked for their shares. We stood ready to deliver them, but they never asked. So that's my third thing that comes out of here. My fourth thing, if I can find it quickly, is just astonishing that it's in a court document. It's just astonishing. D Cartel on page 8, footnote 7. It says during pre-market trading on December 9, 2022, some MMTLP shareholders had pending sell orders successfully execute at prices of up to $2,400 a share. For unknown reasons, brokers subsequently reversed the executed trades and removed the proceeds from their customers' accounts. I've never heard of anything like that. As such, the potential damages in this action may be calculated based on those trades. That's an amazing thing. Absolutely amazing. So that's what you missed. KYP. The French Open started KYP. And tomorrow, Nadal plays Zverev in the first round. I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch it because my service doesn't. I'll have to see if I can do it. Figure out how to do it tomorrow. I have tennis TV, but it's not on tennis TV. Or one of them. There's more than one tennis TV. Yeah. Columbia bound. That's exactly right. You're spot on. You should be an attorney. You got the gray matter to be a good attorney, a great attorney. That's exactly right. They admitted it. But this is apparently the way the system is now. Small violations you ignore. Oh, that doesn't prove anything. And maybe it's the big ones that'll hit them upside the head. I don't know. Partial settlement. No, I don't. Well, okay, Dennis. Maybe TradeStation will have to make a settlement with all of their clients. But I don't think a court will let it be done. I see I don't have the legal term, but I don't think they'll let it be done under the wraps. I don't think it can be hidden. Maybe part of it, but not all of it. But no, I think there'll be pressure to settle just this case. And if they offer this investor millions of dollars to settle and sign a release, I would think it'd be very hard not to agree to that. Hey, William Tolbert, thank you. Hey, Donna. Junk Savvy mentioned, FINRA had a trade unwinding rule put in place. Well, maybe that's why I've never heard of such a thing, because if they just put it in place, it's been a long time since I was, trading. I do it now as a client, but I mean as a Wall Street person. Well, to me, Aaron, that shows the complete corruption, the complicity, the racketeering nature of FINRA itself. Okay, I'm going to go up because I skipped a lot up here. I don't know. Wreath of flowers. I don't know what that means. Wreath heart. I don't know what that means. I really don't know. I'm not going to give it a lot of thought. It will be a game changer. I agree, John. It'll take, look, I think it's at least a month away. I don't know how long these things take. Do they take 60 days? I don't know. But if this gets entered into the docket of the court, which I suppose it is in the docket of the court, but see, I don't know what that word means. Guess I'm a complete idiot. What I mean is it gets entered into the calendar maybe of the court. Awesome. It could be the catalyst. All right, let me go up a bit just to make sure. I'll start at the top and come down. Hey, Darren, Sean, John Wydell. You're first in my heart, John. Scott, Frank, Eddie Eagle, Michael Granite, Sideshow Bob, Greg Menard. Ready for discovery. Oh yeah, I already thanked you. Thank you very much. I don't know. How do you make someone act? Maybe shaming them doesn't work, but I don't have any weapons left. I went to Congress, I knocked on doors, left material. She's a show me state person. Hey, Michael David. Hey, John Croissant. I sway. Okay. I guess I answered everything. So it's 9:35. I can go longer. I was hoping that that not legal advice might be available, but maybe tomorrow. Oh, he told me Monday, so we'll do it tomorrow. We will have not legal advice on with me and maybe Junk Savvy and maybe Kristen Shaughnessy and maybe 100. I don't know. We will have Richard Hoffman on for an hour tomorrow. And so unless I see more, maybe I guess I've answered everything. I think this is great news. I'm extremely impressed by the complaint. Not that I know what I'm talking about, but bravo to Mark Bazile Law Firm and the two attorneys on the case. Not easy names to remember. Japija Cruz out of Naples and Joseph Rose. That's pretty easy. Congratulations to the two attorneys. And this does have the potential to be a major step forward. I could talk about other things, but I think I'm just going to leave this segment on MMTLP. All right. I was just reading my messages. All right, I'm going to sign out. I don't see any more questions. So thank you for everybody coming in. This is an awesome step forward. Thank you to the Courage for the Investor that's putting it forward. And that investor deserves all of our support and prayers. Thank you to Mark Bazile Law Firm. Thank you to each of you that do such hard work. And I look forward to having a call with Richard Hoffman tomorrow for an hour. We'll do it for an hour. So bring your questions. I answered this kind of, John, but my initial reaction, thoughtful in that I can even be thoughtful. I think Johnny Tobacco, I've never talked to him. I don't know anything bad about him. I've only heard good things. And the idea is to trade on blockchain. All right, I get that. But blockchain ultimately is a supply and demand market. I guess the argument is it'll be a better supply and demand market. In other words, price discovery on blockchain ostensibly will be better than price discovery is on the world's largest markets in the world, the US securities markets. I don't buy it. Blockchain trading will be a minuscule subset of investors. And what the Wall Street banks, who are behind all this criminal activity, by the way, what they'll do is create derivatives under the loophole Bill Clinton put in under his Secretary of Treasury, Rubin. Oh, the financial markets can regulate themselves. What a bunch of horse crap. So they'll create derivatives that just like they do in these securities now, they create such a flood of shares protected by these derivatives, which may or may not work, but it suppresses the price. So I'm not convinced that just because it trades on blockchain that the criminals won't have methodologies using derivatives to suppress the price. Now, I can't explain to you because I couldn't explain to you what blockchain is, although I've tried to read several books, but by the middle of it, I'm so bored. I want to go back and read Wind in the Willows. One book I never finished in my life. I don't trust it, John. I don't trust the blockchain. And I don't trust why somebody's in there in close bringing this blockchain. It's not going to cause a squeeze. It's not a way to raise money. Well, it might be if price discovery is still available. But there is no price discovery in the markets anymore. It's destroyed by the entire corruption of the system. The entire market system of the United States is rigged, including your 401ks. They keep going up because it's 6 stocks. And then all the guys with the pinky, the ring on their pinky and the red socks, and they all know the password to Skull and Bones. They'll all shift and rotate out at the same time. And the ghoul of Treasury will come in with her priming of the pump and buy whatever stocks they buy. It's all rigged. And so if you can explain to me how a minuscule market, even if somehow it can't Yes, it's transparent. Yes, you get a unique signature of every stock traded. Yes, it answers um, the question, why can they fill the Rolling Stones concerts night after night and trade those tickets night after night, and there's no counterfeits let in? Why can't they do that with our security system? Yes, blockchain seems to be an answer to that aspect of counterfeiting, but it's a small market. It's in comes the galloping dinosaur, and this is a little mammal, and the dinosaur steps on it, and it's gone. I don't know. If I were McCabe, I would stay private because he's about to get more money from Wall Street than any company can get uh, on Wall Street. He's going to get more money from Wall Street than anybody can get on Wall Street. And I think price discovery simply does not exist any longer in US markets. Just doesn't exist. I don't see how blockchain, and at least in this situation, corrects that problem. Maybe it's more transparent and the only trades on blockchain are real shares. But what about all the derivative counterfeit crap that they can do with the default swaps over in uh, Germany? I don't know. I don't trust it. That's my reaction. I don't trust it. I think staying private, he can name his own price. And you know what? I think almost everyone will agree with it. And the pain and suffering, the penalties, the treble damages, and his growth is going to catch out Wall Street. All right, it's 9:45. So I'm going to say goodnight to everybody. Thank you very much for listening. And give your puppies and your kittens and your horses a rub behind the ear. Good night. We'll see you tomorrow.